Welcome to the Faithful Fireside podcast.
Welcome back to the Faithful Fireside. I'm Kevin.
I'm Dr. Ryder.
And right now I'm pressing some coffee. So we have some fresh pressed coffee. A lot going on. This is our
fourth episode,
I think.
Kind of the intro.
Yeah, we're slowly getting the hang of it. We got a routine down and a setup that's starting to work. Hopefully the quality is good for everybody. I think we fixed the video glitch. I think it was just a USB-C cable issue.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
But yeah. What's up?
No, I can't sleep. That's kind of my main problem. I have a beautiful 2.5-year-old daughter that will not stay in her bed no matter what. No matter what we do. Under threat of violence or gift of cookies, she will not stay in her bed. And so my wife and I have a queen bed too. So we've always had a queen bed, and part of it is when we've lived in really small places.
Right.
But the other part is when her grandmother and grandfather on her mom's side passed away, we inherited their bed frame, like their bed set, which is like really nice furniture, but it's a queen frame. So we have always had a queen mattress. And we have 4 children, and then when your children don't sleep, they never sleep either. But when they don't sleep, the queen is not large enough, right? Because you bring them into your bed, and it's just like everybody's on top of everybody else, and
I can't imagine that.
Yeah, because you have a big rich man king bed.
Yeah, even with the dog in our bed on a king, I'm like, how did we used to do this on a queen?
You started with a queen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm like 34, going on 35. At some point in time, I just need to grow up and become the king that I am.
My wife's dad, he works at Service, so we can always
okay.
family discount.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah. It's been an interesting week for us. In Oklahoma, we had a lot of snow. Probably the most snow that I remember in a good decade.
Yeah. So last time it snowed this much, I still lived at home with my parents. I mean, it's been a long time that we've had. I mean, I had a solid 12 inches of snow in my backyard, that had accumulated on our table and on our chairs that are out there. It was kind of cool.
And usually the snow is gone after 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
And we're a week in and it's still out there. So it's different.
It
doesn't happen often.
And my house is on the right side of the street too, so like the snow is still like really present.
Yeah.
Like the opposite side of the street, some of them it's likely well, not likely. The sun is kind of falling on the other side of the street, so most of that snow is already gone.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see grass in their lawns, and I'm like, haha, me, the Ice King in my winter kingdom, over here. Of course, I don't have a king size mattress, so I can't call myself the Ice King.
I did appreciate working from home this week, though.
That was cool.
It's one of my more productive weeks in a while.
Me too.
Definitely think there's an efficiency window there. Hybrid is definitely the best thing, I think. But
yeah, we'll have to talk about that in more detail when we kind of dive into what it's like to work in tech and stuff.
In the corporate world.
I don't want to talk about it, but I've been reading some excellent poetry on Substack by some of the folks that follow us and that I have been following and some of our new subscribers. I think we have close to like 20 subscribers or so right now.
Nice.
And it's a good community because they follow each other and then follow each other back, and it has a pretty decent algorithm where it's like, you like these things, you'll probably like these things. And I've noticed that if you follow like a larger variety of topics, then a larger variety of people also see your stuff.
Makes sense.
And so great poetry out there. And so I think as some of it, I'll ask before I do it, but some of it I think we may read on the show because there's some really good stuff out there. But
yeah, and Ryder has a topic today prepared for us. Since this will be released, I think the week of Lent or before Lent, we're going to talk about Lent.
It'd be good if we could probably get it out like right
Yeah.
before like Ash Wednesday or something, maybe. I don't know. We'll have to look at the schedule. We'll have to see what we have. But
Is Ash Wednesday the 18th
I think it's the 18th.
February? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
This should release that Sunday before.
Okay, that'd be good. That'd be
So, and before we have him dive in, I want Greater to, or Greater.
good.
I want
That's
Ryder.
that's like the best Freudian slip ever. I used to be a college professor, by the way. So for those who don't know, I was an adjunct professor in computer science, and so Greater is more like what I actually did, you know. Of course, I had a lab course, so I would teach the lecture and then help the students that got the work done the fastest in computer science, and then I would make them help all of the other students to like doubly reinforce. You see, that's how we do it. That's how we cheat. But anyway,
Yeah, I kind of want Ryder to grade my Cradle Catholic knowledge on Lent and if there's anything I'm missing or fun facts, things like that.
okay.
So this one's, I feel like, is really hard to not know something about. It's very
Yeah.
ingrained in, the mass ritual of Ash Wednesday, things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
And so just from my Cradle Catholic knowledge, it's ties into Jesus's 40 days in the desert, resisting temptation, and this leads up to Easter.
Mm-hmm.
And you're supposed to add in, you're supposed to be fasting, you're supposed to have prayer,
Mm-hmm.
and I think the other one's like almsgiving or charity
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what do you grade that 1 to 10?
That's I give it like what's average? 6
Sure.
probably because it's not an F, right? So I 6, it's a 6 or a 7. Let's do a 7.
I
So
like
you get
that.
like a C.
Still
Yeah.
passing.
Yeah, because you definitely passed. There was nothing special in that. No, I mean, um, some of the stuff that I have is like fun facts for Lent that will kind of add to that. So you're
Mhm.
right about like the 40 days in of Christ. There's the 40 years in the wilderness with Moses. This number 40 kind of
I
goes
see.
throughout the whole scriptures. It's very um, very present.
Okay.
And so the earliest days though it actually wasn't like a 40-day observance. Um, so that kind of leads really well into the first like fun fact about Lent. The earliest like feasts that were like Lent-like, or I shouldn't even say feasts, they're fasts. The earliest fasts that are Lent-like are documented or referenced in the 2nd century by Saint Irenaeus of Lyon. And what's interesting about that is um, at that time there's some arguments that are being documented, and we're talking like real early,
Okay.
130 or to 202 or so. This stuff's being written down, and there are debates leading up to Easter for how many days fasting there should be before like the Easter celebration, like the celebration of Christ's resurrection. And so there's like 1 day, 2 days, 40 hours, like the debates are more like of that scale. And that's kind of the earliest notes that we have.
Well, speaking of fasting for that, something I just saw recently off the socials, one of the priests, I forget his name,
Yeah.
he was talking about, I guess it wasn't always like you should fast an hour before Mass, before taking the Eucharist.
Right. That's
It
what it
used to
is
be like
now.
midnight before or a
Yes.
couple hours, and
Yes.
I didn't know that changed
That,
over time.
yeah. And so that's something that we should probably touch on is in the West, which we're going to have to cover just in detail with one of our book club books. We're going to have to cover the stripping of the altars because in the West, there has been a gradual decrease in ceremony
Hmm.
and also in rigor, whereas in the Christian East, whether it's Eastern Catholics or the Orthodox or Eastern Orthodox, Oriental Orthodox, like Coptics, Syriacs, those groups, not as much. They're still very extreme, what we would call extreme to the Western mind, right?
Sure.
Which goes into why there's this proliferation of podcasts and Substack newsletters and things like that are about becoming strong men and not being wussy men, or like the Catholic Gentleman, which is a good book, but also like kind of a podcasting group that has a presence in Oklahoma online. I think they may be based out of Tulsa.
Yeah, the Tulsa guys.
Yeah, there's some Catholic Man Show,
Yeah.
all that. Those folks, there's just this proliferation of like how to be men in a gradual wussification of the West in a certain sense, right? Like I can't even imagine keeping the fasts that they keep in the East. They're just a lot more rigorous. But
I think you would die.
I might die. I might die. Yeah, I seriously. Depressed coffee drink. But yeah, so that's right. So anyway, so we have evidence like way back into the 2nd century that's referring to earlier disputes on fasting. So that's kind of fun fact one, is this fasting before the celebration of Easter goes back to like the earliest Christians or maybe a generation after. It's happening very early. Justin Martyr mentions it too. He's a 2nd century saint. So ready for fun fact number 2?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So number 2 is you have this earlier time that doesn't have the 40 days, but it kind of gets solidified into the 40-day feast by Gregory the First. Okay, Pope Gregory the First, Pope Saint Gregory the Great. So this is like,
what Pope number was he?
I don't know the Pope number.
Okay.
He was the first Gregory, and the time was 590 to 604. So late 6th century Pope. So we've had a few hundred years of development at this point. But he kind of has this stroke of brilliance in that there's this conflict liturgically about how do you do a fast for longer than a week over a Sunday. Okay. Do you know why why there's a problem there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so every week the liturgical cycle has Sunday as the resurrection day. So every Sunday is a feast.
Oh, okay.
So you can't Lent over a Sunday, right? Technically, at least in the Western mind, because that Sunday is the resurrection day. That feast is that the rising of Christ trumps the fast.
Is that why you're allowed to cheat on your? I guess not cheat.
It's not even cheating, but
yeah.
Yes, that's
In my self-improvement like challenge mind, I'm like, wait, I can actually have my thing on a Sunday, but I don't want to.
Right. Now that's what if anybody's ever done like Exodus 90, the challenge is to like take that 40-day fast and make it very rigorous and extend it over a 90-day period. And you get like to relax one discipline on a Sunday. I've done Exodus 90 2 or 3 times.
Okay.
And that's another good example of like combating the wussification, right? That a lot of us are feeling. It's like I want to be like a manly man type of a thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, Gregory's like genius move is to take the 40 days and make it 46.
Okay, I always wondered why it wasn't
Yeah.
dead on.
Yeah, and so this is in the West. Okay, so it's important to kind of point that out. The way we observe it right now is you get those Sundays to be feast days, but you still have your 40 days worth of fasting.
I see.
So he's kind of mathematically deconflicts the liturgical issues. Okay. And so, which is pretty cool. So you get the 46 days before, and then that institutionalizes Ash Wednesday basically as the kickoff time, right? And that all kind of goes together. The cool thing.
So it's 46 days till Easter from Ash Wednesday.
That's the idea. Yes,
Okay.
Yes. And I haven't ever done the math to validate it because I'm good with it.
Yeah.
I just like we're just going to go with that. But that's the idea. So Ash Wednesday then kind of kicks it off. Ash Wednesday, it's super cool. There was the idea early in the church where the penitent would do the sackcloth and ashes thing, right?
Sure.
Getting ready for Easter. And by the penitent, we mean those who had committed what we would probably call mortal sin now, right? So it wasn't everybody that did Ash Wednesday. There were certain people who were outside of the good life, basically, that were participating in Ash Wednesday and ashes and penance prior to the resurrection to get back in good standing, right? So that at Gregory the Great's time, starts to expand beyond these public penitents to everybody.
Okay.
Right. So this has been applied to everybody for a long time, 1400 years or so.
So after
Gregory the First, Gregory the Great.
Okay.
Yeah. And so but that's why even if you make like now, it's not Ash Wednesday is not like a holy day of obligation. You don't have to go to mass that day.
What?
Did you not know that?
No.
You don't have to go to mass that day.
Okay.
It's not a sin to not go to mass that day.
Okay. Those were the ones I never missed, but there's a lot of holy days of obligation I did miss.
Right. Yes,
So,
but that's because of this. The church has the right and the bishops in their jurisdiction to kind of set the certain holidays and what they ask of the faithful, right? And so it's like even when we do our Epiphany celebration in the U.S., it's not on Epiphany Sunday, or it's not on the actual day of Epiphany. We move it to the nearest Sunday, and that part of me is always like, well, why don't we ask more of our people instead of make it easier? And the bishops know better than me. It's probably because there's just too many work conflicts, or there's too many things going on, and we've already had an extra mass for Christmas, an extra mass for New Year's to celebrate Mary, and another extra mass maybe for modern or postmodern or whatever the heck we're living in people is just like too much. I don't like that personally, but that might be, those decisions are made for reasons I don't understand. So I just trust them. But yeah, Ash Wednesday is like so deep. It's like wired into us because it's like 1400 years old, roughly.
right.
That even though it may not be a holy day of obligation, it's like it's deep. We live that pattern now. So we still go and we get our ashes, and everybody is penitent because there's just this acknowledge from Gregory the First time that we all need to come back to Christ.
And I remember a couple of years when I thought I didn't have time to make it to Ash Wednesday in college or post-college, and you see other Catholics walking around with it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I could have made time,
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
kind of like a guilt trip thing, like, God, man. Like,
Well, and that's another thing, right? So you can wipe your ashes off, but I would like to highly encourage you don't do that.
yeah, that's a new change, right?
I don't know when that went in. Our mutual friend Jamie, which we should totally have him on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, we should have
He'll
Jamie.
be fun.
We should have Jamie on the show. Anyway, he told me about that. That at some point in time, people were being allowed to wipe the ashes off. So we could ask him about that possibly. He would know better because that's I think before my time. Since I'm a convert and everything. But the first time I got ashes, I was discerning, trying to figure out if my family and I were going to enter the Catholic Church or not. And I'm living in Japan, and I didn't have a way to get to Mass yet because this is the very first Ash Wednesday when I'm trying to figure out if we're going to be Catholic or not.
This was during COVID.
This is also technically during COVID, right. Tail end of it, especially in Japan, tail end of it, but it is during COVID, probably 2022.
Briefly.
Thanks, man. And anyway, I had to kind of get my own way to do ashes. So I had like a toothpaste that was an ash charcoal toothpaste that I got, and I ground it into like a smear, and I put that on my head myself because I didn't know any priests yet, didn't know where to go. I was like, I'm going to do this, right? Because we Christians have been doing this forever. And so what's funny is it worked. It made a gray spot on the center of my forehead, but it looked like a bruise.
Yeah.
So my Japanese friends are like, Mr. Ryder, are you okay? What happened? And I was like, oh, it's a Christian holiday. It's a celebration, and we're on base, And I answered that, and they're like, oh, okay. Whew, they're like worried about me. But I missed that. Anyway, so the big thing is, if you should get your ashes early, and you should wear them all day if you can, right? Because it's a good witness to the world. I'd highly encourage that.
Yep.
And yeah, we definitely need to get Jamie on the show.
Yep.
Okay, you ready for the next one?
Yeah.
All right, fun fact number 3. Lent, there's actually a bunch of different names for Lent. Okay, let me say it that way. Depends on where you are. Okay, what language you speak, where, um, which version of Christianity you're celebrating is another one. And so Lent comes from an Old English word, and then it goes through Middle English and comes down to us to be Lent. So it's like something like Lenten, which I'm not an Old English expert. I'd like to be,
I
but
legit
something
just
like
thought you said LinkedIn.
yeah, it sounds kind of like that.
Yeah.
It's Lencten,
Okay.
right? And then Middle English changes that. It changes the pronunciation, but it's still basically the same word for Lent. And that's how it comes down to us. If you're a philologist on English, put comments in the chat about how to pronounce all that. Anyway, it means spring. That's really all that it means.
Spring?
It just means spring.
Like the season?
Yeah,
Okay.
leading up to Easter, And so that's pretty much it. Now, a lot of the other languages, what they do is they actually associate it with the number 40. Okay, so if you have like Greek, there's a Tesserakoste. Again, if you're Greek, please put the proper pronunciation in the chat. Or Spanish, Quaresma. Latin, of course, the Quadragesima. Those are all like 40 days, basically.
Okay.
So there's different words. And when we talk about Easter, we'll talk about like there's different namings for that too, right? So we have the name Easter, but then the Orthodox will use the term Pascha, and we need to talk about all that. So that'll be a good Easter topic, right?
Sure.
So making promises I'll forget to keep, but for Easter we should talk about that. Any questions about that?
No, that's the first thing.
Just springtime, man.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay, so here's a weird one. What are you not supposed to eat during Lent?
You're not supposed to eat meat on Fridays.
This is wussification again. But what else?
What
Meat is good. I think that's probably enough. You said meat on Fridays, and it just kind of made me sad.
Oh.
Because it's gradually gotten easier, and I think a lot of this is probably because of the Reformation and the effect of the Reformation on the West. And this is not a shot at Protestant people, because I love Protestant people a lot. However, the Reformation like ruined everything that was fun, and it made certain things way easier. But like one of the reasons like drinking mead out of a drinking horn, I just learned this, like why the drinking horn fell out of use is because of the Protestant Reformation. Yeah, and I was like, dang it, why can't we have anything cool? Anyway, so anyway, meatless Lent was like, and this is still observed this way in lots of different parts of the world, is it's just like outright no meat. Like you eat a vegan appetite, like vegan diet, like the entire time. Like in the East, way more hardcore.
So like no broth or anything, or
no animal products.
no
No eggs.
Dang, straight up vegan.
Yeah, straight up. Like it's a vegan.
Wow.
And the like Oriental and Eastern churches, way more hardcore. Way. And then we're just like, I basically eat whatever I want, and then it's Friday and I go to Fish City and I just like rock out on $50 worth of fish.
See, from like the challenge mindset, I know it's not all about that, but I'm like, okay, we're not supposed to eat meat on Fridays, but then I see people just go like stop through Popeyes, get a fish sandwich or something.
Right.
I'm like, is that defeating the whole purpose of all this?
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
I know it could be a form of fellowship with other Catholics.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
With how everything is so commercialized now,
Yep.
it just kind of defeats the purpose.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think we have like the rampant I'm going to say rampant availability, but it's kind of like the cancerous piece of capitalism is that there's nothing that you can't get. Right. There's nothing you can't.
Every town has McDonald's.
Every town has McDonald's except for Shattuck. Every town has McDonald's, but it's one of those things where it's like, what are you going to do on Friday? I'm just going to go buy this really delicious fish product, right? And even early on, we're not going to get into the exact history of all of this stuff, but even early on, like you couldn't eat fish either. I mean, it was much more
I feel like I read
bread
a
and water.
fun fact one time about it was either Canada or New England that a priest allowed that area to consume beaver on
Okay, so
Fridays
that's actually the fun
because I
fact.
guess people. Okay.
Yeah, we were
Okay.
we were kind of we were sort of entering it right there, and then you ruined it. No, anyway, no, no, like, um, there's all kinds of weird debates and loopholes that emerged over time, and people were like, okay, all right, listen, this thing lives in the water, and okay, and this is so obviously fish has already been kind of allowed,
Yeah.
so it lives in the water. So it's a fish, all right? So we're going to eat this beaver, and nobody's going to say anything about it. Also, reptiles, they have cold blood. They're fish, all right? We're going to eat this lizard. That's what we're going to do. There's also some other things I've never heard until I was kind of looking up for this. And so if anybody has some sources on this, I would love it. But I also was able to pull that some people were eating like capybaras and muskrats and things like that as well.
Muskrats.
Yeah, that's what I'd heard. But that's the thing, man. If it lives in the water, like if I take this pig and I throw it in the water and then I eat it, it was a fish. Now that sounds really weird to us, okay? But I think, and also it is really weird. But if you were to sort of break things into the domains, like in Genesis 1, you have like the land, and then God populates the land, right? And of course, before that, he's got the seas, he's populating the seas. So he makes a place for everything.
Okay.
And then he puts the things in the place, in Genesis. That's part of the structure. And so the things in the water are fish. That's their place. That's kind of what's going on there. So it doesn't, you might also eat a platypus, for example.
That's the first thing that
Right.
came to my mind.
Yeah, because there are some weird things that kind of cross those domains.
Yeah.
Frogs, anything like that. So you get some weird loopholes, right? But it's not so much that the thing is a fish as we scientifically understand it. It's a water dweller.
But you said the Eastern people, it's all animal byproducts.
And so especially like in Coptic churches and things like that, very, very
So I'd
hard.
wipe all that out anyways.
Yeah,
end of the day.
that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's vegan.
Okay.
And we couldn't eat eggs. We can eat eggs now, but there's actually some people think that the reason that Easter eggs developed was to decorate these eggs that you weren't going to be able to eat during Lent anyway, so why waste them? Right. So there's
That'd be something interesting to look into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is all kind of high level research that I was able to do for this episode, but that is a proposal, is that Easter eggs may have come from that, which is kind of cool. All right. Let's see. I think that may have been my last fun fact. It looks like it is. It looks like that was the last one that I had. It's kind of interesting too, I guess. One I'll kind of put a pin in that one, and we can maybe revisit it later. But like the arrival of like hot cross buns and things like that are like a Lenten treat. It's bread, you can eat it, but it's a spiced bread, so it makes the bread like more enjoyable, right? And we don't really eat that in America. At least I don't know anybody that
Described that or said that. The first thing that popped in
Yeah.
my head was just a honey bun.
Yeah, it's not a honey bun. However, on Lent, for some reason, today you could probably eat a honey bun, but you shouldn't do that.
Right.
But there's also this idea of like taking the breads and like making them more enjoyable, and all of which defeats the purpose, right? So that we can kind of get into that with personal stories and stuff if you want to talk about like Lents you've observed
Oh,
in the
yeah.
past. If you want to segue into that part of the story or that part of the episode. Have you had like what's the earliest Lent that you remember?
Oh, I mean, obviously during confirmation, but before that, I want to say maybe about the time I was doing First Communion, second grade,
Yeah,
third grade.
yeah,
I remember Sunday school teachers talking about like their families would move the TV into the garage and unplug it,
Yeah,
things like that.
I see. Okay.
So that was probably the earliest I can think of.
Okay.
Um,
Did you observe anything that year that you remember?
no,
Okay. Yeah, that's a good idea,
and
actually.
even during confirmation, all that, I really don't think I gave up anything that I remember.
Yeah,
It really started in college,
right.
right? And I always,
Do you know when it's supposed to start?
what?
Like through the fasting? It's like 14.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I
Last
guess,
I checked.
yeah. Now we maybe observed like no meat on Fridays growing up
Yeah.
that I kind of remember, but
That's kind
yeah.
of the definitely the version of that that's sort of solidified in the West at this point is just the no meat, only fish on
Hmm.
Fridays. Yeah. My first Lent is like I mean, we there were a couple times in college that people mentioned Lent, but I was Church of Christ at the time, so I didn't know what they were talking about because we'd thrown out like all the history basically, and so I had no clue. And so people were like, yeah, yeah, it's a thing. Like for 40 days, you just give up something, or you add something to your routine that you should be doing, something like that. And I don't really remember because it was introduced to me by some of my very good friends I'm still close friends with today. But like we none of us were Catholic, so we just kind of we would choose certain things. And then I don't even remember really doing it, because it wasn't like important.
Right.
And then when we became Catholic and like living in Japan, I actually did Exodus 90, I think, for my first real Lent, and it was like hardcore. It was like drop everything, no TV, no anything, you know. And then I think you'd observed now you were allowed to eat meat and stuff, but like it's not on Fridays and not also on Wednesdays, which is another traditional day, right? That's Jesus's betrayal day,
Okay.
and so you would fast on that day,
Hmm.
and then you'd fast on Friday, and then I would fast until 3 in the afternoon because that's a traditional fast breaking time for Christians because Christ dies at 3 p.m. on Friday traditionally, or as it's described, right? And so I could do that in Japan, and I started getting sick when I did that here in the U.S. So I have stopped doing that at my wife's request because I'm not able to help with the kids if I fast for some reason. So I'm trying to get that figured out. But that's the first one. I went straight into Exodus 90.
Yeah, I remember you saying that you were doing that.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not doing it. I didn't do it last year, and I'm doing it this year.
I I should have done realistic ones in college, or maybe I should have just been a better Catholic. But I specifically remember in college, I always was like, I'm gonna give up alcohol for 40 days.
Yeah,
And then Lent is always like right when my birthday is, and then spring break. I think there's only all 7 years I was in college. I think there's only 1 year that I actually followed that.
yeah, yeah,
I always broke
yeah,
it. It was so hard. Not a good environment to try to not drink.
yeah. That makes sense for sure. Okay, I think I have a. We probably should talk a little bit about what we want to do this year before we run out of time.
Yeah, what? Yeah, we're
Um,
at 30 minutes.
yeah, so I think again, I have Kindred Tierney's Catholic All Year compendium. I definitely recommend this book for these sorts of references. Um, and so she has in here some examples that you can do for intermediate, beginning, and advanced levels, and then some of them that the kids can do too. She's got a whole section on Lent. So let me give you an example of
Yeah,
like a
of
set of
each one, that'd
three.
be cool.
Yeah. So here's an example of a set of three that she's got here. Um, the first three is don't take the best parking spot. So these are for beginners.
Uh,
One. Two, take the worst parking spot you can find. Three, don't drive, walk, or take public transportation. All right. So it's like
dang.
beginner, intermediate,
That's, oh,
advanced. You
okay.
see?
I
One,
thought
two,
all three
three.
of those were beginner. I'm like,
Oh, no, 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 no. No, those are sets. There's grouped into three. So
okay,
similar things split up into three different levels, right?
I see.
So like one, make your bed every day. Two, make your bed every day before you leave your bedroom. And then three, make other people's beds too,
Oh,
right? And so it like levels up,
yeah.
right? And so that's a good example of like an almsgiving charitable type service, right? That you can provide people. And it gets pretty hardcore. I love these though, so I think let's do at least one more.
Okay.
If you like TV, read a novel instead. Right? That's the beginner level. If you like novels, read a classic.
Ooh.
That's the intermediate.
Should tell my wife that one.
Yeah. And then number 3, if you like classics, read great Catholic nonfiction. Right? Kind of levels up.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because there are some extremely good Catholic nonfiction works that people kind of bury, or you might not really cover at school because it's explicitly religious, right? But you could read St. Catherine of Siena's dialogue or something like that, which is absolutely a
Catholic
classic.
stuff you should know, guys. Thomas Aquinas.
The Summa Theologica.
They always talk about him, and obviously he's a very popular saint. So
in his
from what I've heard,
day,
there's a lot of good writings.
A lot. Yeah. Like the Summa fills half of one of these bookshelves, and that's only one of the things he wrote.
Wow.
Yeah. So he's wrote a tremendous amount.
Yeah, I like those. Those are I might have to take a look at that.
Yeah, you should. You should. I know,
some good suggestions.
There's another one too. She had a recommendation for like a Lent reminder for the whole family. I thought was really cool. And this is sort of the sign, all right? It is Lent. I should not watch TV, play video games, eat treats. Okay? She's a mother of 10, so when they're writing this book, maybe they may have all lived at home still when she wrote this book. So this is stuff that kids can do too. I should make sacrifices, pray often, come when I am called. That's a good one. Be nice, be polite, let others go first, do for others, wait to eat. That's another good one. And behave mannerly at the table. And then if I am bored, I can clean my room, clean someone else's room, say the Rosary, draw a picture, read or look at a book, go outside. Right? And so those are all pretty good, and they're reasonable. They don't really force anything particularly difficult, especially with kids, right? Like we talked about, like if you're not 14, then you don't need to fast, right? At least not in the sense that we should think about fasting of like a significant sacrifice that leads to like penitential suffering, right? Yeah. But these are other things that are really, really good things to cut out. Everybody who's going to watch this podcast probably is a huge fan of J.R.R. Tolkien, right? And the Palantir, which is an evil sphere that was analogous to the TV, right? So there was a time before TV, and we lived well during that time. So during Lent, maybe we should walk in those steps, right? Remember that. Try and inculcate that in us. Any thoughts on those? On that kind of thing to hang up in your house? What you shouldn't do? Like a visual.
No, it's definitely a good idea, and I hadn't thought of it prior to this podcast of how to get maybe our 4-year-old involved a little bit. There is something basic we could do.
Right.
So I like that. There's some stuff there.
And it's good because you want to start young. And then she gives, I'll end kind of the sharing from the book here with this. She has a little formula that you can write. This is for yourself. This Lent, I will strive each day to do less blank, to do more blank, never to blank, always to blank. And that's the end of the form. So you have 4 blanks that you fill out. Something to reduce, something to increase, something to exclude, and then something that you can't say no to. That is a good thing. You always have to do it when the opportunity arises. And that's pretty sweet. I thought that was cool, and wanted to kind of bring that to our Lent discussion. We could do an entire podcast only on Lent. So this, I thought this was a good way to get a good introduction to Lent. And then next year at Lent, we'll do something else.
So with that, what are you giving up?
I don't know.
You don't know yet?
I don't know. I've been sitting there thinking about it.
I know Jamie, he always kind of waits for Lent mass, and he's like, something comes to me.
Yeah, he was
So,
talking about that.
yeah.
I think last year it was coffee because that was what came to him. I think at Ash Wednesday service. I think it was. I can't.
I'll start
But
whispering in his ear, give up Diet Coke. Or Diet Dr. Pepper.
yeah, I'm not sure. I thought about giving up coffee because I have had some cramping issues in my feet. So it's probably magnesium, right? Just drinking too much coffee. Um, you know, through our friendship, the iron sharpens iron thing,
Hmm.
I've started doing a lot of things that I wasn't doing that I should be doing, like lifting weights and exercising and just kind of eating better sort of in general. So I don't really want to make that my Lent, you know.
Yeah.
But I might just really, no kidding, observe the Lent and fast as long as it won't make me sick. So I'm just kind of debating. I might try that the first Friday and see if I do even even just the what the church asks of us with the one meal and two um, small meals that don't add up to one whole meal, right? Like this, the idea of you can have like a vegan protein bar and then you can eat a meal and then you can have like a vegan protein bar. That's not much of a fast,
Yeah.
really. Not in the understanding of the East or in the older understanding of the church, but that is what is asked of us on
Yeah.
Fridays during Lent. So I might just try and, no kidding, in humility, just be obedient to what's asked of me, um, and not try and overdo it. Because I have the tendency to really want to fast more like the people in the East, but
Yeah.
I've had issues arise health wise because of that. So obedience is like the hardest thing to do, to just do what's asked of you and not do more for glory, and just be humble. So that's kind of what I'm debating.
That's true.
Yeah. What about you?
I started adding on to it, but definitely I'm gonna uninstall all social media off my phone.
How are we supposed to do this podcast?
Just uploading on my computer.
Okay, no.
But yeah, no TikTok, no Instagram, no
Okay.
Facebook. Probably X. Last year I made an excuse that X was my news source, not
Oh
social
yeah.
media, but I don't need it. I can go
Right.
46 days without it.
Right. Or just 40 days and only do it on Sunday. However, that's probably the Exodus 90 guys recommend for whatever you relax on your Sunday, it shouldn't be your social media one. And I'm like, that's probably true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. There's other ramifications
Yeah.
of ingesting
And I'm
that.
trying to get my wife to jump on board with me because she usually just adds on something. I'm like, no. Let's take something away. Let's challenge ourselves.
Right.
And to be honest, she could probably use the social media break too. So
I mean, honestly, like, don't we all?
yeah.
You should feel bad for watching our podcast right
So yeah, it's gonna be social media. I'm gonna add in a daily rosary. I already do intermittent fasting, so I already do 2 meals a day. So I
Yeah.
might add in like a weekly 24-hour fast. Um, there was something else that came to mind.
How are you this? How does your body not fail you? How are you healthy?
I don't know,
Okay.
but I do think if you can do it, you need to get to the 2 meals a day thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and a daily 18-hour fast. That's my thing.
Mm.
And then, God, what it just came to mind. I'm thinking about the TV situation. I definitely don't like how easy we turn it on to
Yeah.
be like, oh, hey, Mary, here's the TV for an hour before bed. Like,
Right.
maybe no TV, uh, except on Sundays or something.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
there's no reason we need to watch it for 2 hours at night before bed. There's no reason
Right.
to spend Saturday doing that either.
Right. Right. Hey, that might be something that we started reading the Chronicles of Narnia just recently. Maybe that's what we can. I don't know. She's 4, so she may
Hmm.
not be able to sit through an extended reading. It depends. Not all kids can.
Hmm.
But as a thought, it's like, hey, no TV. We have to read books.
Yeah.
You know.
And see, that's my thing too. I think the TV and social media are always what keep me from reading. Like, I'll grab a
Yeah.
book, I'll go into the living room, I'll open the book, and then it's just like one message or someone turns the TV on, and I'm just done. I'm like, I
Yep.
only made 1 page progress today. So
Yep.
I think I'm
Yep.
gonna try to do all that.
That makes sense. there is an anecdote, and then we'll part with this anecdote because of time. But there is an anecdote that Tolkien had read from some of his writings into a tape recorder. And so I think we have recordings of his voice and stuff like that, reading portions of stuff. And before he actually used the tape recorder, it is said that he prayed over the tape recorder the Lord's Prayer in Welsh, because he was a Luddite, if you've heard that term. Right?
I have.
Yeah, he didn't like technology, didn't trust technology.
Yeah, okay,
so he basically was, in a way, you can envision he's praying the demon out of the technology before he used this tape recorder. And it's somewhat humorous, but it's also a little profound, right? Because the technology has always driven human development after we make it, right? We influence our own air quotes, evolution, as we kind of change the way we behave within our society and what we expect people to do and what we're interested in. We augment our own behaviors. We have worse memory because we can write. The entire next generation, and this is a segue for our next episode, will be handicapped in a number of ways because of artificial intelligence that we weren't necessarily handicapped before. There will be a lot to discuss on that. And, I just wanted to kind of give you that image, right, of the Palantir, which is also the name of an AI company, that evil orb. But anyway, wanted to leave you with that image as we come up to Lent. The technology is wonderful, and we're doing the best we can to try and use it to pump good things out into the internet that might be helpful to people with how they live their lives, right? To try and put some wisdom out there and share our experiences. But I just thought, as we go into Lent, let's remember Tolkien praying the Lord's Prayer over a piece of tech, and maybe that.
Who was Catholic, right?
Yes, yeah, Tolkien was Catholic.
There's a lot of Lord of the Rings fans who don't know that.
They don't know that.
Catholic.
Yeah, that's another whole series of episodes.
They would be good.
Yeah, there's a tremendous amount of Catholic liturgical reality built into the dates in that. In the Lord of the Rings
story,
and the spans of time that pass from here to here to here in the story. Anyway, we can't cover that now. So I think that's it. We want to encourage you to take Lent seriously this year. If you have any questions, let us know. We'd really also enjoy hearing what you're doing for Lent in the chat.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. As always, email us, faithfulfireside@gmail.com. Any questions, answers, or feedback, we'd appreciate it.
Yeah, signing off for now.
See you next time.